talk first about contemporary color. What the heck is it?
That's a really good question. My first intro into contemporary color was that I went to a big American high school, not too dissimilar from Friday Night Lights, except for it was in a bigger town in Dallas, Texas. And what I know about contemporary color from those days is that they weren't the football team, they weren't the cheerleaders, they weren't the high school band. They were this really kind of bizarre underground subculture of, I guess, what stemmed from a militaristic dance, but then really flowered into its own world. So I knew about the color guard because they would be rehearsing on the lawn and throwing the toy rifles and waving the flags.
Collaboration work.
The way it worked is that various artists were teamed up with different color guard teams, and these color guard teams had already had this routine that they'd been working on, that they'd refined, that was, again, their performance, the dance, the throwing of the rifles and the flags. And essentially what I did is get a video of their dance and then rescore it.
Huh. So you reverse engineered the color guard.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a bizarre challenge because, like a lot of dances go, there are different tempos and different time signatures and moments of reprieve, and my particular team is based on the idea of a lunatic and somebody in a mental institution. So
typecasting.
Yes, but I'm thrilled to work with them, and apparently they stay in character the entire time. They have all dyed their hair red for I don't think that's any slight on gingers. I think it's just part of the aesthetic. And the director of the color guard is also a fashion designer, so he has designed all the costumes. And with any luck, I will be wearing one of the costumes. They asked me to dye my hair red, but I said I couldn't because it was already falling out from the white hair.
Let's talk about your lyrics. I mean, because there is one of the ways I describe St. Vincent to myself in my head is beautiful melodies carrying terrible events. You often sound the sweetest when you're most scary. Deliberate?
I did a lot of theater when I was in high school, and I remember one of the tenets of that being, if you have some big anger to express or some big moment to explore, a lot of the time it's a lot creepier to whisper that than to scream it.
I wanted to ask you about your stage show, which I've seen a couple of times and which blows my mind as it blows the mind of everybody who sees it. It's choreographed. Have you folks seen this, I hope? Some of you? You're doing these like angular motions, you're doing these tiny little steps. You worked with the choreographer, Annie B. Parson. Yeah. But what did you tell her you wanted?
I mean, for someone like me, she will perhaps think about what will look good in my body and what I'll actually be able to inhabit as someone who's not a trained dancer. And her one of the most interesting things about her is that she loves to work with novices who have no dance baggage. From what I understand about the way Annie B. works sometimes is that she will essentially listen to a piece of music and suggest words that are like poetry, and she relies on a concept that she calls first thought, best thought. So she works with incredible dancers. She'll say a word like insular, and then someone will react to it in the way that is instinctual, and then go through a number of words and a number of reactions by the dancers, and then whittle it down and codify until it's a piece. And so it's ultimately very collaborative. And I'm not aware, and this could just be my ignorance about the dance world, but I'm not aware of any other choreographer who works in that specific way.
To me, it felt like the movement is another layer of rhythm and ideas on top of the words on top of the music, on top of the drums. I mean, it's just one more mind-blowing thing you're throwing out at the same time.
Well, and also it's, I mean, that's how our brain works. If we stand in some victorious pose for an hour, this is why people like to do yoga, we start to feel victorious. I mean, it's as neurological for me as it is for the audience.
It seems like there's two poles in your work between control and chaos, because I've seen you on stage through the years, and you'll just like stand there singing sweetly, and then the guitar comes out of nowhere, like, you know, the Loch Ness Monster. Or your choreographed shows now, you're also completely in control, but you can go haywire at the end, like you did in Austin or whatever. It seems you must think a lot about control versus chaos. I mean, it seems like you want both in your music.
I think a lot about control. I don't think very much about chaos. That sort of just comes in like a Loch Ness Monster.